Welcome to Bad Discoveries, your source for recent news in the unfolding historical narrative of human misery and inevitable mortality. Ever feel like you live at your job? Ever feel like your workplace is basically a prison? Live with the gnawing anxiety that you'll die there, a forgotten cog in the machine? You'll love this one. The intact skeletons of a 40-year-old woman and a 7-year-old girl have been found by archaeologists at the site of the infamous Tower of London prison. Bone analysis by an osteoarchaeologist reveals that they lived the difficult lives of the working class. It seems that they lived and worked there, receiving burials consistent with the late medieval to early Tudor periods. The woman had been buried in a coffin, while the girl had simply been laid to rest in a burial shroud. Both died with illnesses, and the woman additionally suffered from chronic back pain. After some poking and prodding in the name of science, the skeletons have been buried again, until the next time some archaeologist finds them while mucking about to make the place more wheelchair accessible, which is what happened this time. But not all research is as respectful of the dead. The advancement of medicine, for instance, has a checkered and grisly past, as seen in our next story. Based on the discovery of 115 fragments of human bones, medical students at the renowned Aberdeen University in Scotland appear likely to have been illicitly practicing on dead bodies, following the 1832 Anatomy Act's severe restrictions on the practice. The bones of 7 people, including 2 children, show signs of weird injuries, at least some of which are consistent with surgical scarring. Such bodies were often obtained by means of murder and grave robbing. Circumstantial evidence points to a particular suspect, but here at Bad Discoveries, we don't condemn people based on circumstantial evidence, so we won't name names, such as Alexander Craig, who may or may not have practiced on the bodies, as well as sharing them with other students. These students are believed to have buried the bodies in secret in order to cover up their illegal practices. A study published this March in the journal Acta Tropica revealed that female mosquitoes who listened to Skrillex had less sex and sucked less blood than those that didn't. The difference between the Skrillex group and the control group that enjoyed 10 minutes of silence was significant, further proving that his music really is that bad. Despite having been deprived of food for 12 hours, the noise-distracted mosquitoes were slow to even bother looking for food, and then just didn't try very hard. Further, they had 5 times less sex. Researchers chose the song Scary Monsters and Nice Sprites for the study because it's about as close to pure noise as people can produce with current technology. Its increasing pitch and general loudness specifically made it a strong candidate for an experiment to find out if noise could be an effective alternative to insecticide. So, were parents right all along about the trash their kids were listening to? Maybe. But the article also cites a similar study using AC/DC's hit Back in Black to disturb the feeding behavior of aphids. Maybe science isn't to be trusted after all, because we all know rock and roll ain't noise pollution. Our recent Bad Things in History episode on cannibalism may have left you down on humanity, unlike most of our typically uplifting content. In one of the stories, humans even do something kind of thoughtful, after which they were probably slaughtered by Huns or something, so don't worry about threats to your dismal worldview. The Dead Sea is a massive lake, 10 times saltier than the world's oceans. So salty that even people who aren't morbidly obese can float on the surface. It's stupefyingly difficult for life to find a way to continue in its depths. According to an article published in the journal Geology in March, microorganisms such as archaea appear likely to have had to outright consume microorganism corpses in order to survive the harsh conditions, lacking the ability to turn bits of their deceased neighbors into wax esters for energy storage. Who knows what other creepy things are being done to get by in the Earth's massive underground biosphere. In this next example, animals were driven to extreme measures to avoid starvation as an indirect effect of human civilization. This may be a common problem due to the endless sprawl of greedy humanity over the surface of the planet, depriving other creatures of their adapted habitats or simply altering them with the structures of civilization. This case is one of the various abandoned Soviet nuclear bunkers in Poland. Hundreds of thousands of ants fell into this one and were trapped without food for years. Separated from their colony, they were forced to eat one another's corpses in order to survive in the pitch darkness, until discovered by scientists in 2015. The scientists then left them there for another year just to make sure they were actually eating each other. Because science. During this time, the ants, lacking a queen, were unable to breed. The cannibal colony's numbers were propped up simply due to the fact that more ants kept falling in and being trapped. In 2016, the scientists finally lowered a wooden beam for the ants to climb out and escape to their colony. Then in 2017, they checked in to confirm that the ants had, surprise surprise, generally chosen to leave their macabre prison. Another example of abandoned human civilization is the site of the Chernobyl nuclear reactor, famous for its devastating failure in 1986. Although still radioactive to this day, animals such as moose, boar, and different kinds of deer have moved into the area. Does this mean that the radiation is okay for the animals? Not at all. It's just that the effects of human habitation are a lot worse, according to UK researcher Jim Smith of the University of Portsmouth. If there's a bright side to the story of Chernobyl, and there isn't, maybe it's that the site has become a tourist destination. Now you can even visit the famous control room where it all went sideways, for 5 minutes, with heavy protective gear, and a couple of radiation tests. You'll just be exposed to 40,000 times the normal amount of radiation during your visit. And if you're into weird tourism, how's the weather in your area? So bad that previously submerged temples and megaliths are surfacing? Because that's happening in more than one place right now. Let that sink in. In central Thailand, a temple and surrounding village underwater for decades are again receiving visitors, as is the Dolmen of Guadalparal, or the Spanish Stonehenge, in Spain's Valdecañas Reservoir. While these are fascinating opportunities to encounter and study such treasures, the sad truth is that record heat and drought is affecting much of the world, and appears likely to, in quotes, shift and expand, according to a United Nations report. What should have been a monsoon season is needed for the successful cultivation of rice in this area of Thailand. Economic impacts, including food shortages, can result from prolonged irregularities of this nature. But hey, enjoy your visit to the temple. The distinction between friends and enemies being frankly a little fuzzy at times, we hope you'll share the all-consuming darkness of bad discoveries and bad things in history with both. And as always, thanks for watching Bad Discoveries.